And hit it.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Saturday Supplemental with Mr. J. Thomas and J. Thomas Radio. Radio on the right. A short but enlightening stroll through the past weeks. Headlines and a tiny peek at future headlines you didn't know you needed. And now, without further ado, the man himself, Mr. J. Thomas. Take it away, Mr. T.
Saturday Supplemental.
Cece. She did it to me again. Holy cow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to wrap up the other two episodes about SQ 832. SQ 832 here in Oklahoma. That rhymes, and you know it rhymes. Okay, stop that down. All right, so we had two episodes of in background information and some examples of why why the minimum wage increase is a bad idea, especially this one. Okay, this is for the Oklahoma, and it's going to be the vote is going to be on June 16th, which is a day before Father's Day. So congratulations, dads. If you wanted to go out to the beach and take your boat out there the day before, well, no, you're going to have to stay here and vote. This is what Democrats do all the time. It was Drummond wrote the law. So let's take a look at the law. We're going to bring these things together, okay? You had the history of Detroit, and it was a great city. And it was actually a world-class city that other countries sent their representative to look at how they did things. And that was the 1950s, into the 60s. And by 1970, it was a shithole that it is today. It was worse. They used to have Devil's Night, and they'd burn down houses left and right. And people, people blamed it on race. No, it was Democrats. The Democrats wrote the policies that chased people away. That's what happened. End of story. So we remember that it was good. It was a great place. It was a great place to grow up. But then it became a shithole. And part of the reason is the minimum wage increases continually beating the automotive, the big three auto, over the head with the words minimum wage, and pretty soon, if you were a UAW member, you were making in mid-90s, you're making $30 to $35 an hour, which is almost $80 an hour in today's wages, plus benefits. You have a great health care. Look it up. So they're doing the same thing here in Oklahoma with this SQ 832, the Minimum Wage Act. This will be the new Minimum Wage Act. And it takes away the power of the legislature and Congress from enacting minimum wage. And it puts it on automatic. It puts it on autopilot. It just sails, man. And this is bad policy. Let's take a look. Let's read some history. Let's read some facts. Okay, as a refresher, the state question 832, SQ 832, says this. Employers must pay employees at least $9 per hour beginning in 2025, increasing $1.50 annually for the final rate of $15 an hour in 2029. That doesn't sound bad, right? Beginning in 2030, however, and continuing indefinitely into the future and beyond, the minimum wage would automatically increase annually based on the increase in the cost of living, if any, as measured by the U.S. Department of Labor's Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. I bet you didn't know that department existed. Well, your taxpayer money is paying for that ridiculous crap. So that's the state question 832. And you think, well, why not? Because the last two episodes should tell you why not. Because of Detroit. Look at Detroit. It is a shithole, and it's continuing to be a shithole. So why was it a shithole? The same people, or why is it a shithole? It is. The same people who are promising nirvana here push this crap in Detroit. Now, let's hear it from their own mouth. This is from a gentleman that works at the Economic Policy Institute, which is the same as the Oklahoma Policy Institute. They're just, one's the father, one's the son. And they love each other very much. They're both leftist organizations that spew just nonsense, okay? So this is from Ross Eisenbray. And he cites that in Detroit used to have 1.5 million, 1.62 million in 1960, went down to 1.51 million in 1970. These are the people fleeing from Detroit. Even as prices, even as wages were going up, why would they leave Detroit? Well, number one, 1960, they enacted an income tax of 1%. It went up to 2%. Detroit City income tax. You had to pay your income tax to live and work in Detroit. And if you if you lived outside of Detroit and worked inside, you paid more. So everybody fled because no one wants to be around Democrats when they're taking your money and wasting it on useless crap. Now, who does he blame this on? Does he blame it on the policies, his minimum wage policies, his minimum tax policies? Does he blame it on them? No. Listen. The exodus of white residents, you mean white people, the entire decline was accounted for by whites, since the number of black residents increased. Yeah, they all came to Detroit to work in the UAW factories. And then they stopped making the factories in Detroit. But they kept coming. Because guess what? There was welfare. Up the wazoo, you had welfare. That's a different story, though. And then they voted more Democrat, right? This is the number of jobs and the wealth decline has never stopped of jobs and wealth. Detroit now has a population under 700,000, significantly under. But the white population has declined more than 1.5 million since 1950. Well, they got out, yeah. I bet you it says 2013 he's writing this, 1950. I bet you a lot of them died. Idiot. What ails Detroit is not the skills gap that Richter, this is a response to this Richter post, but abandonment by its white population and by the owners of capital, starting with the auto industry, but including retail corporations, insurance companies, and almost everyone else. Yeah, we all got the hell out of Detroit because it was run by a-holes like you, Mr. Eisenbray. And you thought you could tax and beat them over the head time and time again with minimum wage, minimum tax. A minimum wage, it is part of what destroys economies. Sweden doesn't have minimum wage. Switzerland doesn't have minimum wage. Those are the countries that you leftists point to. They don't have minimum wage. And don't tell me, oh, they have strong unions. No, they have something different than unions. So let's go to the, let's go to the SQ 832 minimum wage increase as looked at by the Oklahoma Policy Institute. So, the ballot initiative is being run by a group called Raise the Wage Oklahoma, and these people are a bunch of leftists. You got to go to their website. It's garbage. Increasing the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 would affect about 319,000 Oklahoma workers. Okay, that's just bullshit. That's not. how they write that is that there's 319,000 workers making $7.25 an hour. That's bullshit. That's not true. The majority of whom are women and people of color. See? You see? It's you white male. So a special election will be held on June 16th. Who did that? Drummond, that idiot. The guy who's running for the Republican Democrat, Republican gubernatorial. So, and again, it would indefinitely increase the wages according to some this sounds good. Oh, we've had high inflation, so we have to match that. We have to match the inflation. Under Biden, it was 9%, 10% one year. So we have to match that inflation. So 10%. So we're going to add 10%. It will never go down because when inflation goes down, are they going to take away that money? No. So it pumps more money into the system, which will do what? When you pump more money into the system, what does it do, people? This is Economics 101. It increases what? Inflation, which means you pump more money, which increases more inflation. See, the train gets going, and pretty soon you have Zimbabwe, which has $1 trillion bill. You could be a trillionaire too in Zimbabwe if you just keep on with these knucklehead, these leftist bullcrap policies. Look what happened to Zimbabwe. Look what happened to Detroit. Did Detroit turn out, because the wages were going up in Detroit, UAW, they were making $35 an hour in 1995, approximately. Let's say $30 an hour. That's almost $80 an hour now. Do you think you're going to earn $80 an hour? That's what people are hoping for. And you're saying, well, Jim, this is just right. I mean, it's not like it's, we need $25 an hour really to raise a family. Oh, well, then they have this bill then. You think that the minimum wage will never reach $25 an hour? Oh, yeah. Legislation unveiled in Congress on Tuesday could raise the nation's minimum wage for the first time since 2009. The bill, Living Wage for All Act, was introduced by Representatives Delia Ramirez and Jesus Chuy Garcia. Both Democrats. There's a reason why South and Central America are the shitholes they are. And they're from Illinois. Along with some Latifah Simone. If enacted, the bill would raise the federal minimum wage to $25 an hour. These leftists have they want to do this to destroy this country. They don't care. They just put this. Why not $50 an hour? If it's 25, why not 50? Why not 80? $100 an hour. Why not $100 an hour? Pretty soon you're going to be a trillionaire. You're going to have $1 trillion bill, just like Zimbabwe. So, and again, they use these fake bull crap to push this stuff, and it sounds good, but it's not. The more money you pump into the system, the higher the wages, or the higher the prices. The higher the price, more money you pump in the system. More money you pump in the system, the higher the price. And it just keeps going on and up and up. Do you think, let me ask you a question. If I gave you $5 an hour and I sent you back to 1992, do you think you would take that? Say, yeah, I'll take $5 an hour in 1992. Let's see how much that is. So $5 an hour in 1992, according to the Federal Reserve calculator, is $12 an hour today. Now, if I was making $5 an hour in, no, I was actually making more. I made $5 an hour though, in a apprentice plumbing job. So I was making $12 an hour. That's pretty good for an apprentice plumber, because you by the time you got a year in, you were making $15 an hour, or you'd make $7 or $8 an hour. So it'd go up. So $5 an hour in 1992 is not that bad. It really isn't, because things were cheaper. Why were things cheaper? Well, you didn't flood the nation with 20 million illegal aliens that needed somewhere to live, and then have the government pay for their living, their houses. That's what spiked this rent, is illegal aliens. So these crappy, these are continually the AMWA, that's the Oklahoma Minimum Wage Act. These are continually making things worse, and you keep voting for crappy stuff like this. Stop. Do you want better wages here and more jobs here in Oklahoma? Get rid of the minimum wage. If you got rid of the minimum wage entirely, jobs would be, you would be flooding this state with jobs, and I guarantee you they're going to be making at least $15 an hour and more. That's just the way things happen. Nobody is making $7.50 an hour. So we took their number and we asked AI to dig around in the Bureau of Labor Statistics, et cetera, and this is what they came up with. How many workers in Oklahoma are making $7.50 an hour? And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Oklahoma follows the minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, but it's $7.50 here. In 2022, out of approximately 935,000 hourly workers here in Oklahoma, less than 1,000 earned exactly $7.25 an hour. And with 12,000 below it, because they're waiters and waitresses who make a lot more money. They make a lot more money than minimum wage, I'll tell you that. One guy was telling me he's making at a restaurant around here. One guy was telling me he's making $250 a day, a night shift. And if he worked 2 shifts, he could make probably about $400 a day. That's pretty damn good. There's no tax on tips now. So less than 1,000 people, and these are specialty jobs. These are like somebody's kid works for them. They pay them, to teach them a lesson. I used to pay my daughter to work in our restaurant, and we paid her, it's like we paid her to like $2 an hour or something. I think it was $2 an hour was what you paid wait staff, and then she made tips. She made good tips. So this is all a lie. There aren't 350,000 people, as they say, as these people lie about it. There's not 350,000 people. It says our analysis finds this policy would raise wages for 357,000 Oklahoma workers. Well, what are these workers doing? That's the point. My daughter would get a raise. She's in school. She's in high school. She's working at a restaurant. She's making $14.50 an hour, twice the Oklahoma minimum wage. So all these things, and what happens is when you have this, you're going to have more crappy policies. You're going to turn into Detroit. Detroit used the minimum wage as a, like I said, as a cat's paw, as a bat to beat the geese that laid the golden eggs, the big 3 auto companies. They beat them into submission, and pretty soon these people they were making in 1999. I knew a guy in Detroit who was making, he'd worked at 20 years. He was making almost $70 an hour plus health care. Yeah, they did their health care. Their health care was separate. So he's making $70 an hour plus his health care was free, just about. That was $70 an hour take home pay. Man, he was, and then they would go on strike for more money because guess why? They would say everyone, wow, the minimum wage has to go up. Oh, we got they didn't care about the minimum wage. They just used the minimum wage as a baseball bat to beat other people down. Get rid of the minimum wage totally altogether. It's useless because no one lives on it. And watch jobs and wages and prices level out. Wages go up. People are happier. This is all garbage. And I will debate any of these people anywhere. The Economic Policy Institute, the Oklahoma Policy Institute. These people are joined at the hip. They're sewing together. These people, the Economic Policy Institute, has a garbage poll or a garbage data. They send it over to the Oklahoma Policy Institute, who regurgitates the garbage data. And they all their data comes from garbage leftist sites. Look it up. Go look it up. Go look at where they're getting their numbers from. They're saying, "Oh, listen to this. Listen to this. This is hilarious." One of their bullcrap headlines is the higher minimum wage would help combat the affordability crisis. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Oklahoma is one of the 20 states that still uses a dismally low federal employment of $7.25 an hour, which nobody gets paid $7.25 an hour. That's a lie. Policymakers have not raised the federal minimum wage since 2009, meaning that prices throughout the economy have risen, and so has wages. Adjusting for inflation, the federal minimum wage is worth 30% less. So they use all this stuff, and then they say that, especially $7.25 an hour, keep an eye on that. They're saying that people are just squeaking by at $7.25 an hour. That is not the truth. And a higher minimum wage would not combat the affordability crisis. It would add to it. It is. They are writing about. This is Sebastian Martinez Hickey, and this guy is full of crap. So our analysis finds that this policy would raise wages of 350,000 people, the earning workforce by more than $783 million overall to increase it. The total includes both workers who would directly and indirectly see wage increases. Indirectly. That's who wants this to be passed. The indirectly are the ones. They are the ones. They are the unions. That's who uses these bullcrap numbers to get more money. Are the unions. And this is not. This is all garbage. Remember, this is how it started in Detroit. They came out with all these policies that sound really great. Oh, this is great. 300,000 people living on $7 an hour. That's bullshit. No one's living on that. If my 14-year-old can get a job for, $14.50 an hour and you can't, then you know what? Maybe it's on you. Maybe you're the problem. Do you see this? Do you see? Do you get it? I'm just putting. I'm reading their own. I'm taking it from their own words. I'm reading their stuff. And I'm refuting it with actual facts. This is garbage. And if you do this, guess what's right over, this was just south of us is Texas. And Texas will take all those companies that are coming back to Oklahoma will go down to Texas. Because they didn't think nonsense crap like this was going to happen. Because it's not for the $7.25 an hour. That is a floor that nobody uses. Nobody is paying anybody that. In specialty cases, like I said, they are. But nobody is. I, myself, hired people, and we were paying $20 an hour. This is back 5-6 years ago. That's $800 a week. People were happy with it, what they were doing for us. And we did it because we wanted these people. We liked these people. We wanted them to work for us. We weren't rich. We're paying what we wanted these people. Could we have gotten somebody for $15 an hour? Yeah. Would they be as good as these people? No. We could pay them $10 an hour. I know right now, that illegal aliens are making $10 an hour cash underneath the table. They're in construction. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Nobody is making $7.25 an hour. So this is all garbage, and they're doing this on the Saturday before Sunday to get all their little shitty leftists out to vote. If you don't take time to vote and you don't know about this, it's on you. You're about to be Detroited. You're going to be living in Zimbabwe too soon. This is garbage, and you keep voting for people who won't do anything. I can't believe Drummond wrote this, and I can't believe Drummond okayed the June 16th or June 16th voting day. What garbage. Man, there's a lot more things that are going on in Oklahoma that are just garbage, and I'm going to get to them this week. This is just one of them. Again, I'm going to be banging on this a lot. June 16th. June 16th, people, go and vote. I'm just, it's amazing. You can see here, these 3 episodes, you can see Detroit went from a great city to a shithole. And this is a big part of it. This is used by the left continuously to destroy this nation and destroy cities. Look at all the cities the left run. They're all shitholes. And this is a big part of why. All right. Go and have fun. I know, isn't it? I just told you a bunch of really depressing stuff, but you go and have fun. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.